Tonight, a story you'll see only on WPTV. 25 years ago, a student at Lake Worth Middle School killed a beloved teacher on the last day before summer break. It was almost unheard of in the year 2000, a school shooting. The young killer tried as an adult. All these years later, I visited Nathaniel Brazil in prison near Tallahassee. He reflected on the tragedy and told me he's hoping for a second chance.
Day one, my first thing is to go to my mother's gravesite to communicate to her that I made it out.
25 years later, Nathaniel Brazil still hasn't outrun death, the very thing that put him here.
It's almost over.
It's almost over.
I was 10 feet from the gun.
It was one shot.
The police had the roadblock.
I didn't know what was happening.
Nervous?
I couldn't believe that it happened.
I heard a big bang.
It happened in one of the classrooms.
All these kids were crying and everything. When I saw the kids running out the building, I knew it was a gunshot.
He shot Mr. Bruno.
Today, we unfortunately have to report the news that a Lake Worth Middle School teacher has been shot and killed on the school campus.
I don't remember pulling the trigger, but I think the gun went off and then I ran.
With less than 3 years left on his 28-year prison sentence.
Damn, let's go back.
With less than 3
Remember pulling the trigger, but
Damn, look at that shit. Little bad little man. May 26, 2000. He was 13. I mean, he was born in 87. Damn, that's 10 years younger than me. So I'm 48. He 38. Wow.
I think the gun went off and then I ran.
With less than 3 years left on his 28-year prison sentence, Nathaniel Brazil is opening up about the seconds that changed his life. A school shooting in the final minutes on the final day of class before summer break. He was just 13.
It was an accident. It was not
13. Damn. These bastards bringing all the niggas to arrest.
something that I woke up that morning with the intention of today is the day I'm going to do something bad.
Now, 39 years old, we sat down with Brazil, who's serving out the remainder of his time in a prison near Tallahassee.
I have come to look at everything that happens in my life, especially now, as preparing me for something better.
School surveillance tells the story of May 26, 2000.
I've tried to put that day behind me.
Nathaniel arrived at Lake Worth Middle School. Investigators say he was suspended an hour before for a water balloon fight. He left campus, went home, and got a gun he stole from his grandfather before returning to school to see two of his best friends.
It was really more of a to say goodbye for the summer.
He wrote this love letter to one of them. I'm going to miss you. I love you always. But when Nathaniel got to their classroom, Barry Gruno, an English teacher, wouldn't let him inside. That's when a seventh grader pulled out a .25 caliber handgun.
And I took out the gun to try to scare him into letting me talk to him.
The gun went off, one shot.
My biggest regret is that one day.
Barry was a committed father, a committed family man.
Barry's passion for teaching was very great. Barry cared.
There's no doubt Barry Gruno was well-loved, a husband, father, teacher, and basketball coach. His brother visited the school memorial just days after the murder.
I just want to say that hopefully something good will come out of it. And the only way something good is going to come out of it is if people make something good come out of it.
Today, the gym at Lake Worth Middle still bears his name, and a college scholarship still helps students go on to become teachers.
And Mr. Gruno's a special man. Everybody loved him.
Including Nathaniel, who trusted Mr. Gruno.
I think he was more outgoing than most others.
What do you think, what do you imagine that day will feel like when you walk out of here?
I imagine joy, Relief, excitement.
That excitement comes from all Nathaniel hopes to accomplish and all he's worked for behind bars.
Since that day, I've tried to pick up the pieces of my life that were shattered that day, and I've strived to continue to better myself.
He walked into jail at 13, earned his GED at 16, became a paralegal at 18, and received his law certification 3 years later.
I have been to 20 different facilities.
20?
Yes. Four work camps and 16 institutions and annexes. Because of my grievance writing, I have a tendency to make prison officials angry.
Brazil has served as his own lawyer in multiple cases against the Florida Department of Corrections. But just last year, a victory. In his lawsuit, he claimed unlawful retaliatory transfers, what he calls a tactic to silence inmates. A jury found prison officials violated his First Amendment rights. Even today, what sticks out most for Brazil is the praise that came from the judge following the verdict. I know you have desires at some point to be a lawyer, and I hope you have those opportunities because you have a great deal of skill in doing what you're doing.
Those words were some of the most encouraging and motivational words that I believe I've ever heard in my life. For him to take recognition of my accomplishment, it really gave me a lot of motivation to keep going.
That legal victory happened last fall. Earlier this year, Nathaniel was transferred again, where he continues to help inmates with their cases.
Because of my skills with the law, word of mouth about me travel. So when I arrive at a new facility, guys know who I am and immediately start seeking me out.
When he gets out at 41, Brazil plans to leave his prison number behind and make a name for himself in the courtroom, even though to some degree he'll always be on the defense. You go out now into a world where that respect is not going to come so easy. Some would say that you'll wear a scarlet letter.
I don't believe that. We spoke earlier about the detractors who say I should not be released, but I recognize that this is a nation of second chances, and that's all I'm asking for is an opportunity to prove my character.
An opportunity to show his remorse to Mr. Bruno's family.
I wonder about his kids, how they're doing. I wonder about his wife.
A chance to apologize.
I don't want to write out a script that sounds, made up or manufactured. I want a face-to-face opportunity to make a heartfelt expression.
Brazil says he plans to return home first to show his mom he's moving forward despite his grave mistake. The only prison he'll never escape is the prison from within.
Yes, I do carry the guilt of that with me. I cannot separate that from my life. That is a part of, the story of my life. So it is something that I do carry today, and I'm probably going to carry it for the rest of my days.
Brazil said multiple times during our conversation that his actions were not premeditated that day, but he knows what he did was wrong. He says it will haunt him forever.
It is just such a heartbreaking story all around. Clearly, Barry Grunow is so beloved in the community. What is his family saying about this? Have you heard from them? Do they have thoughts about his release, Mr. Brazil's release?
Well, listen, Megan, we have been working on this story for months. We have been in touch with the Grunow family, Barry's wife in particular, Pam. She respectfully declined, we understand, to sit down and chat. We also tried to speak with former teachers and friends. They chose not to come forward and speak publicly. Think about it. 25 years has passed, but it is so clear that the weight of this tragedy is still very heavy. You have a 35-year-old teacher, father, a husband who was just taken from this world too soon.
Yeah, that was, just felt like sharing that. That was heartfelt. I felt it just made me think, man, like whenever I see any melanated man, any dark melanated man, especially, but really any man with melanin, I see my reflection. And seeing that young man, 13 years old, you know, being handcuffed and looking at going to prison, you know, I felt like that was me. You know, that could have been me, you know, easily. One little mistake, you know, one big mistake, I should say. But, you know, in that act, when you young, you got a gun, you might not even realize the power of life and death at all at that age. And then to have it in your finger, the power of life and death in your finger. I don't think no 13-year-old really understand the gravity of what, you know, how impactful, you know, playing with a gun could be, for instance. I just remember being that age and seeing guns for the first time and really not, I don't know. I think I was innately like tapped into like not knowing that it's certain things that I shouldn't touch or shouldn't, you know, do at 12, 13 years old. I was literally a normal 12, 13-year-old. And I thank God my parents, and it seemed like that young man had a, you know, just seemed like, I don't know, but it seemed like his upbringing might have been okay. He just, when he looked at like he was taken care of when he was young, just a bad little kid, you know, doing bad stuff. But what struck me in that interview, or when at the end of the interview, when the lady that was interviewing was talking to her coworkers, how she was trying to convince everybody that Mr. Brazil, so yeah, if y'all here just now tuning in, like, comment, share, subscribe this video to this channel. Like the video. So yeah, so the young man, Brazil, the anchor was trying to convince her coworkers that he knew he was wrong. And see, this is some of the kind of stuff that I want to point out. Like within our community, or from the outside of our community, from the outside of the Black community, it's always a tendency to think that we need to be reminded that we need to be remorseful, especially when we're supposed to be getting out of prison, right? You know, getting out of physical prison. We need to atone for something. But when they let these white criminals out, I don't think that ever come up. Do they realize what they did was wrong? I think it's a consensus. I think the general consensus for white criminals that they always slap on the wrist. They letting out school shooters. They letting out mass shooters, white mass shooters. They letting them out a lot of times. And they let them off the hook. I want to say let them off the hook. But a lot of them, they get the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think there's ever a question of, did they understand what they was doing? I think a lot of times they think, no, they don't understand that. And on top of that, this system try to always give them an out of being crazy. You know, they always get the benefit of the doubter. Something had to be wrong with them. And it's always an isolated incident, right? But when we see these little young Black men, young Black boys getting hemmed up, basically for just being a kid, I would say, you know, looking at that young man, Brazil, and seeing what he did with his life now, it's amazing, you know. But you know, when we younger, it's like they think that we don't understand something enough to know like what we doing. And see, the thing of it is, within our community, we hold each other to a very high standard. Like accountability is one of the biggest things within our community. That's why historically, when I was being raised anyway, we got our ass whooped multiple times for the same thing. And it might be from a neighbor. It might be from an aunt, uncle, both your parents, and it might be from a family friend. So you might get 5 whoopings for one thing that you might have done. In the white community, a lot of times they do shit, and not only do they not be punished physically for it, but their parents and everybody in that community will try to make an excuse up for it. So that's what we see a lot of in that community. So I just wanted to share that story of redemption, man, because it just shows anything is possible. You know, I know the topic or the title to this video may have been a little misleading, you know, but this wasn't a sad story to me. I think the ending, it just kind of showed human, like that humanity in that young man that's getting out of prison soon. And I wish him well. I wish him all the joy in this world. It seemed like he took advantage of his time, and it seemed like he's really advancing in life, even though he locked up, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, man. Look, y'all tap in, like, comment, share, subscribe to Marlon Speaks Live. I'll be back real soon. I got an interview coming up. I'll be back real soon. Stay tuned.